Hi guys, my name is Changpeng Zhao. I'm the CEO of Binance. We started Binance 6 months ago, and this is actually the first time I actually took an airplane to attend a conference to do a speech. So I want to thank Josh for inviting me here. And the reason I came here is because Josh actually helped us to do the Korean translations for Binance.com earlier. So I want to thank him. So today I will talk a little bit about Binance, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Can I see a raise of hands of how many people know Binance? How many people don't know Binance? Okay, I think most people should know Binance by now. I'll be very quick with Binance, and then I'll talk a little bit about my vision and how we think projects, especially ICO projects, crypto projects should be run, and what kind of coins we like and we don't like. So I'll talk a little bit about that. But let's talk a little bit about the market. So cryptocurrency is now a 700 billion market cap. This number is actually a little bit older. I didn't have time to adjust my PPT. There's about 1,400 coins on CoinMarketCap, but actually we have so far received more than 5,000 applications for coin listings. So there's a lot more coins being made than there are listed already. On a traditional exchange, you do buy, sell, you manage your own risk. Performance of the exchange is not guaranteed, and you do your own research, and liquidity is uncertain. So that's some of the problems when we first started. We thought the industry have. We have not completely solved those problems yet, but we're definitely working on it. So for Binance, some of the stats for Binance right now. So we are pretty much around the top 3 exchanges in the world. Usually top 1 right now, but things change. Volumes fluctuate. We started 6 months ago. So from our ICO 6 months ago, the token price have actually risen about 200 times. At the high point, it was about 220 times. And this is at a period where Bitcoin probably raised about 7 times. So we actually outperformed Bitcoin by 30 times. But we're still not as good as NEO. They did 1,000 in 2 years. So we cover a lot of countries. One of the things Binance do is we are country agnostic. We want to service every person on the planet. We don't really care which country. We don't really care which language. We don't care where that person is. We just want to provide a place for people to buy or to trade cryptocurrency. So we provide as many languages as we can. We had 8 languages before. We took one off yesterday due to local regulations in Japan. But we also added a little box on the top right of our website. Now you can Google Translate our website. I think the Google Translate is probably not as good as Josh's translation, but it's pretty good because we don't have a lot of words on our website. So we just surpassed 6 million users. So as of this morning, and this is with limited registrations. So every day we open registration for about 1 to 3 hours, depending on, and we open them at random times so that we don't have an influx of people wanting to register. So I think last week we had a record of in 1 hour 240,000 users registered, and that record was passed again 2 days ago. We had 310,000 users registering in about an hour and a half. So we have very huge volumes. We listed 237 trading pairs so far, actually a bit more than that now. Probably around 240, 245 trading pairs. We support about 100 coins, so that means we have to work with 100 different wallets, 100 different blockchains. That's a very challenging part for running a crypto exchange. And we have our own Binance coin. There's some other data I want to share which is not updated here, I apologize. So on the highest day so far, we traded $10 billion in 24 hours on Binance.com. And if you divide that by 84,000 seconds, that works out to be $1,100,000 traded every second. So every second, $1,100,000 traded. And on that day, our matching engine processed 3.5 billion transactions. So that's 40,000 transactions per second on our exchange, on average. So at the peak, it was actually much higher. So this is something that a centralized exchange can actually do technically faster. As of now, I actually don't know of any exchange, any blockchain that can handle 40,000 transactions per second. So that's a challenge I want to put out there for the blockchain developers. I wish there will be a blockchain that can handle that many transactions per second. And when that happens, we will very likely move to a decentralized model, on-chain exchange. Okay, I'll quickly go through this. I don't think we need to spend too much time on this. So we want to build a different exchange. So if you want to just build another exchange, copying somebody else, we probably wouldn't do that. There's not a whole lot of point. So we want to build a different exchange. So just some more stats. So we have a really fast matching engine. So our core matching engine for the exchange is actually really, really fast. We can handle 1.4 million transactions per second. So on the top, so this slide is again a little bit outdated. On the highest performance day, we used about 3% of our capacity for the matching engine. So we are actually doing upgrades for that now because we want to be ready for another 100x increase in volume. So we are working very hard on those lower level things that people don't see. So this is why I think most people who have used Binance, when you trade on Binance, the response is very quick. From placing order to the order appearing on the right in the market data, I think that experience is, most people like it. We are really tightening up our listing criteria. So this is where there's some conflict. A lot of projects come to me, hey, it says Champion CZ, can you look at my project? It's a really good project. Can we list on you? So I'll spend the next little part talking about how to list on Binance. So currently, I think we are one of the highest liquidity providers in the world. Some other exchanges, to be honest, have very large volumes on some pairs, but they don't have a lot of liquidity on all pairs. I think our volume is very evenly spread out among almost all the pairs we support, or at least most of the pairs. And I think if you trade on multiple exchanges, you'll find that out very quickly. I think this is a major attractiveness for Binance. So if this is actually much more important than trading low fees. It's much more important than other things. This is actually real money that you will save when there's hard liquidity. We are one of the exchanges that we are, even though I don't travel that much, just simply because the time cost for traveling is too high, we do engage with the community very heavily. So I think we are the first exchange that did community voting for listing coins. I'm very often in our Telegram group, but less often now. The Telegram group is too big. Right now, I think there's 40,000 people, and whatever you say does not stay on screen for more than 2 seconds. Just keep scrolling. But we are very engaged with the community. So I want to talk a little about. So we have 2 initiatives we started. We haven't. I want to spend more time pushing this kind of initiatives, but I actually got dragged back because the number of users increasing is too fast. So we want to service them better. So I've been more focusing on the service part of Binance.com. But let me talk a little bit about labs because it does indicate how we select projects. So we like projects that are technically based. So strong team, very active code base. We want to see them. We want to see the source code on GitHub, and we want them to be very active. Funds is never an issue for any project we like to support. For any project right now, if Binance says we will incubate you, money is not a problem. There will be lots of money following us. So we will give you advice on the token economy. What does that mean? That means how to structure your funds, how to raise money, how much to raise, if you want to do a token or if you want to do a coin, how much of that should be public, how much of that should be private, how much of that should be reserved by the team, how much should be reserved for mining. We have seen quite a lot of projects. I think we're probably one of the very few groups in the world that sees a lot of projects, not only at the investment stage, but also after you do the ICO, after you list, after you trade. How does your market performance perform? Remember, ICO is only the beginning of your project. It's not the end, right? Once you take that money, you got to do something useful with it. So we can give a lot of advices on how to do that properly in a proper manner. And we want to see teams deliver a prototype before they do an ICO. So we don't like all of this ICOs where there's just a white paper, it's a concept. We don't like that. So Binance Lab is the pre-ICO incubator fund. And then that will naturally grow into Binance Launchpad, which is the platform where you do a public sale. For public sales, we really don't like big ICOs. So if you want to raise $100 million, we're probably not going to do that project for you. We want projects to be small. We want, no matter how grand or how famous your team is, we want a project to be between $5 to $20 million. I think that's way more than enough money that most startups need. And why we do that? We want you to leave value on the table so that there's room to grow in later. We've seen that many of the, I think I published the article 2-3 months ago on Steemit saying I don't like big ICOs. And then the Tether problem, other problems happen afterwards. So, but those are the problems that we would like to avoid. We don't want projects to realize their full value at ICO, because what happens then, once you get on the exchange, the full value is already being realized. People are not going to buy it anymore. The price is going to drop, and we don't like that. It's not, technically speaking, it's not our problem. It's the investors' decision to buy or sell. But we don't like projects that don't perform well on our platform. So, so we like small ICOs. And once you raise that amount of money, which is plenty for most projects, we don't release that funds to the projects right away. So this is the same case for Gifto and for Bread, two of the projects that went through the ICO on our platform. So far, they only got 30% of the funds they raised. We hold the rest 70%. So they have milestones to deliver. Once the project delivers those milestones, we will release the funds in batches. So this way, if the project runs away or could not deliver, they do not get all the money they raised. So this is it's either an incentive or a penalty for the project to perform. So they need to deliver, right? So we want to see projects deliver their product. So after they deliver certain milestones, we release the funds. So every project is slightly different. So this is a model that we like to encourage. So let me circle back. So let me circle back a little bit to how we do listing. So right now, because we have too many projects, if you have a project that you want to list on Binance, there's a web form. That's the only entrance. So talking to me does not help. Say, hey, CZ, please listen to my pitch. I have a really good project. That doesn't really help you. I will not be able to remember your project. I will not be able to relay what you said to me to our review team. So we have a review team, and we do not allow our review team to have contact with the outside world. Nobody knows who they are. Project teams are not allowed to talk to them. The only way project teams can interface with them is to submit the form with useful information. So that's why the web form is really, really important. And because the review team is not allowed to have contact with the outside world, and there's a very good reason for that, they cannot ask you for more information. So if you submit that form, make sure you have every piece of information that you want to submit and keep it short. So because they're quite busy. So it's a tricky problem. You gotta present the most useful information in the shortest amount of text possible because they're quite busy. Why we don't allow them to interact? I think in the last 3 days, I have more than 3 people coming to me and say, CZ, I'll give you $2 million US dollars to list this coin for me. I said, no, submit the form. So I don't need any more money. So we want to avoid that kind of situation. And we want to remove any influence or any bias from our review teams. Once the review team, our internal review team will have a score. We do not disclose that score to anybody. So once they score a project, then we have another business development team that gets in contact with you, say, hey, now your project passed our review. We want to discuss some commercials. We charge a listing fee, and we will list. So that's kind of how the process works. It is very much a black box to people outside of Binance, but it is what it is because we have too many projects. There are too many projects who are trying to do different things. Lastly, even after we discuss the commercial terms, let's say we agree on a fee that you pay, we do not tell projects when they will list. It's just waiting. So, but we usually list pretty quickly. But if you see any projects claiming they will list on Binance by a certain date, you can be pretty sure that that's not going to be true because we will not list on that day. We will most likely cancel the listing. So that's kind of how we work on the listing. And in terms of the future, I want to share a future vision that I have, which is I believe in the future there will be many, many coins. I think there will be millions of coins, regardless of whatever people do. I believe almost every country, every province, every company, every organization, every team, every project, every person, and everything can issue a token. Some of them will be valuable, some of them will not be valuable. And once you have a token, you need liquidity, you need price determination, and you need the exchange. So I think the exchange space for future blockchain economy will be huge. And we have a pretty good head start on that right now. And we want to maintain our start. So for anybody but to realize that dream, we got to make exchange much, much faster. Binance.com right now is not fast enough for that. So we still got to make Binance.com quite a bit faster, at least 100 times more faster. So we're still working on that. And decentralized exchanges will come, but I want to take this opportunity to sort of explain to people what my vision of the decentralized exchanges are. Many people confuse this concept, saying, oh, decentralized exchanges are better than centralized, just because decentralized is always better. That may not be true. So today, none of the decentralized exchanges can handle our volume. That's number one. And none of them are as secure as we are, actually. So EtherDelta got hacked many times, and very badly recently. It's not that decentralized by itself will be more secure, more fair, better. That doesn't work. Also, decentralized exchanges and centralized exchanges are two different things. In my mind, they're more like trains and cars. Right? So if you invent a train, you might still need cars. So with decentralized exchanges, you will have some benefits, anonymity, and you can trade any coin you want to trade. But right now, there are a few very heavy challenges for decentralized exchanges. Number one, the blockchains are not fast enough. They can only do a couple hundred or a couple thousand transactions per second, and that's not fast enough for trading. And with blockchains, multiple nodes have to sync. When multiple nodes have to sync, they're by default always guaranteed to be slower than one node that just does the processing. So it's very simple. So, and with decentralized exchanges, you will see a lot more fraud, a lot more bad coins listing on there, and a lot more price manipulation, bad behaviors. So some regulation is actually good. But again, so that's kind of my view on decentralized exchanges. I hope Binance.com will begin our decentralized exchange development in 2018. But so far, we have had a lot of concepts, but we haven't really started our GitHub repo. We haven't really started our development yet. So that's probably going to come. I'm hoping that we will be able to have the bandwidth to start that project in 2018. The last topic I will talk about is what I touched on is regulation. So a lot of people are very curious as to the regulation affecting exchanges. It does affect us very heavily. So, but Binance always takes the stance that we will be fully compliant in every country where we operate. We respect every government. We respect every law enforcement agency. So we don't want to fight anybody. We're just here to provide a good service to people who want to trade. So as different, on the flip side, I highly urge different regulatory bodies to sort of consider the consequences of regulating poorly. So there are good regulation and there are bad regulation. So some people always ask me, do you like regulation or not? Again, it's not a binary answer. It's not regulation is good or regulation is bad. It's how you regulate, right? So a good regulation needs to be detailed, needs to be specific. You should say what you can do and what you cannot do. If it says that you cannot do everything, it's probably not very good because that basically means all the blockchain businesses or all the exchanges will leave that country and do somewhere else. And when all of those projects go to a different country that's more favorable, that has more favorable regulations, what happens? The projects follow them, the teams follow them, the talent follow them, the money follow them, all the funds follow them, and all the employment opportunities follow them because all the good projects have to hire people, they help the local economy, and then they pay taxes in the local economy. So super closed regulations are not good. We can look at neighbor countries where they closed off the internet. That probably didn't do very well. So, but too relaxed, no regulation is also not good. I think as a human species right now, we're not at a stage where we can fully regulate ourselves in harmonious ways. There are a lot of bad players. There are a lot of scammers. There are thefts. So we still need some type of regulation. We still need some rules in the society to make our society a good one. So my view on regulation is never binary. I do not hate regulation. I do not say we don't need regulation. I also do not fully welcome all kind of regulation. So I think we just need to play by ear. We will observe regulations in every country. We will respect them. We'll respect all of them, even the bad ones. And then we will just have to find a place where we can operate fully legally. So that's pretty much my vision. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them now or outside later. So thank you very much for having me in Korea. Thanks.